So we're on chapter 11, Castle Rock, which is the title of the chapter is indicating there is going to be a scene, a showdown, a conflict at Castle Rock. So again, we have the aftermath of the last chapter's events really flowing over and affecting how this chapter begins and the outcome of this chapter. So in the last chapter, the very last lines show us that from his left hand, meaning Jack's hand, dangled Piggy's broken glasses. So Jack and two other hunters came to where the boys were sleeping in their shelters, stole Piggy's glasses, and ran away. And so now Ralph, the twins, Sam and Eric, and Piggy don't even have a way to light a fire to call to civilization. And Piggy is rendered blind at this point. They still have the conch, which Piggy asked right away. Did they take it? Did they take it? So that's what chapter 11 begins with, with Castle Rock, is that he has been blinded by this and they're pretty frustrated. And we're going to look at the chapter here and go through a couple highlights. Piggy's expressionless, myopia, which means, he can't see. Now we got no fire, which is what I was just talking about. They got fire, they stole it and they blinded me. So Piggy says to Ralph, blow the conch, call an assembly. And I can't see no more, says Piggy. I got to get my glasses back. Awful things have been done on this island. Oof, that's true. It's not over yet either. Just an ordinary fire. You think we could do that? Are we savages or what? That is a really good question. That is what this petri dish, this experiment is about. If we put a bunch of boys on an island without any external impact, what will happen? And what has the petri dish shown? Are they savages? It seems as though the majority of them are becoming that. And that's what this experiment is about. That's what this book is about, is William Golding is trying to say, what are we really inside? These boys have not been fully shaped by society yet. What is inside human nature? And that's what we're finding. And so when Piggy says, are we savages or what? It's a question to the reader like, they stole our fire. They stole it. We'd have given them if they asked. But they're savages. They're not going to ask. So now they get an idea. Suppose we go looking like we used to, cleaned up so they resemble more civilized. And we aren't savages. And this isn't a game. All right, so they have this plan, and of course this is the superego. This is Piggy. What are grown-ups going to think? Young Simon was murdered. And there was that other kid with a mark on his face whom we haven't seen since we've come here. Okay, so here's the plan. I'll tell him what's what. You let me carry the conch, Ralph. I'll show him the one thing he hasn't got. Okay, so Piggy sees so much value in the conch. It's because it symbolizes order. And that is what Piggy holds to. I'm going to him with this conch in my hands. I'm going to hold it out and I'm going to say, look, say you're stronger than I am, but you haven't got asthma. Give me my glasses. I'm going to say you got to. The reader should be wondering, how is this going to go over with Jack? The conch lay at Ralph's feet. Again, it's described as fragile and white at this point because that's what's happening on this island to what that conch symbolizes, which is order. He held the conch to Piggy, who flushed, this time with pride. You must carry it, says Ralph. And Piggy sought in his mind for words to convey his passionate willingness to carry the conch against all odds. And this is symbolic, to carry what it represents, order. Piggy stands by that. Okay, the twins are a little nervous because they're like, man, everybody else is going to be painted up. There's this liberation that comes. So I'm going to read the line. They understood only too well the liberation into savagery that the concealing paint brought. And this is what we were talking about with masks. On Halloween, totally civilized people will do things they would never do when they are behind a mask. The savagery comes out and invites the id to come out. But Ralph says, we're not going to be painted because we aren't savages. All right, so this is their progression across the beach as they go toward Castle Rock. Ralph goes first, limping, carrying a spear, and the twins are behind him, and they trail the butt of wooden spears. And Piggy, who can't see, is holding the conch, looks down at the trailing butts of the spears, and walks and follows them. So pretty sad. Okay, so they get there. Ralph gives instructions. You two follow behind. I'm going first. Then Piggy, a pace behind me. Keep your spears ready. And you keep right close to me. Ralph moved forward onto the neck. So remember how this is situated on this island, Castle Rock. There's a neck and there are boulders. Like here's some here. That is their security system, right? And they can like a lever, they can release one. So here's the neck with ocean on either side, and the boys have come across here. Here's where they had the thing with Simon. They've come across and they're coming up to it right now, and they're being told to halt, right? The security system here at Castle Rock. And that's where they're at. Halt, who goes there? He put the conch to his lips and began to blow. So Ralph is blowing this thing and he says, I'm calling an assembly. Now Roger's up on the top there and he's throwing stones. And he flew. This reminds us of when he was throwing them at, I think it was Henry, right? He took up a small stone and flung it between the twins, aiming to miss. So he likes to toy with that quite a bit. Where's Jack? Well, he's hunting and we're told we're not going to let you in. And Ralph says, I've come to see about the fire and about Piggy's specs. Now, just then, Jack is behind Ralph coming out of the forest. So picture Ralph, Sam, and Eric and Piggy on that neck leading to the fort. And the fort is on behind Ralph. And now Jack is coming out of the forest. And, he has the kill and everything with him. Jack shot above the noise. Go away, Ralph. Keep to your end. This is my end and my tribe. You leave me alone. Well, you pinched, that means stole, Piggy's specs, and you've got to give them back. Oh, so here's the savage, right? Oh, I have to, huh? Who says? I say, says Ralph. You played a dirty trick. We'd have given you fire if you asked for it. You came up like a thief and you stole Piggy's glasses. Now, Jack isn't going to talk about this much, so he rushes at with a spear and stabbed at Ralph's chest with a spear. Ralph saw this coming and he caught Jack's arm and put the thrust aside with his own butt of his spear. They were chest to chest, breathing fiercely, pushing and glaring. So you have to picture and hear all of this, that there's all the boys from the fort painted up, yelling and screaming. You have Sam and Eric, and poor Piggy can't see anything, and he's holding onto this conch. And these two boys are fighting. You come on and see what you get. Ralph, remember what we came for, says Piggy, the fire, the specs. So Piggy's always trying to keep Ralph focused, right? We've got to focus on the fire, and the fire means rescue, and that's what we need. Okay, so Ralph pauses. Listen, we've come to say, first, you got to give back Piggy's specs. If he hasn't got them, he can't see. You aren't playing the game. And then about the fire. I'm saying it ever since we dropped in. Your only hope is keeping a signal fire going as long as there's light to see. Then maybe a ship will notice the smoke and come and rescue us and take us home. Don't you understand, you painted fools? We tried to keep the fire going, but we couldn't. Don't you understand? There may be a ship out there. You can really feel Ralph's frustration at this. He doesn't understand. But realize the id doesn't want rescue. The id can do what it wants on this island. The id is getting stronger on this island. If a ship did come and the id was taken back to civilization, it wouldn't get to do those things. It couldn't beat Wilfred when it wanted to. It couldn't do anything. It couldn't steal something and laugh about it. Wouldn't be allowed to in civilization. All right, so Jack gives instructions to grab the twins, tie them up, and then he comes at Ralph again. And Ralph just barely blocked the blow. The twins lay inexpertly tied up, and the tribe watched Ralph to see what he would do. He charged. Jack swung with his fist at Ralph and caught him on the ear, and Ralph hit Jack in the stomach and made him grunt, so they're going back and forth. Piggy's voice penetrated to Ralph. Let me speak, says Piggy. Okay, so Piggy holds up the conch, and the booing sagged a little. I got the conch. Surprisingly, there was silence now. Now, Roger's still up there throwing rocks, right? Someone was throwing stones. Roger was dropping them, his one hand still on the lever. I got this to say, says Piggy. You're acting like a crowd of kids. Now, this is the superego, right? Which always identifies with adults, identifies with morals. Which is better, to be a pack of painted Indians like you are, or to be sensible like Ralph is? Which is better, to have rules and agree, or to hunt and kill? Which is better, law and rescue, or hunting and breaking things up? Jack had backed right up against the tribe, and there was a solid mass of menace that bristled with spears. By him stood Piggy, still holding out the talisman, the fragile, shining beauty of the shell. High overhead, Roger, with a sense of delirious abandonment, leaned all his weight on the lever. Ralph heard the great rock before he saw it. So Roger releases that huge rock that's up there. So this is the kid that's just been kind of throwing rocks to miss here and there through the whole novel. He releases this huge rock that's going to roll down the neck of, that neck between the oceans and between Castle Rock and the main island. Then the monstrous red thing, the boulder, bounded across the neck, and Ralph flung himself flat while the tribe shrieked. Now Piggy can't see anything. The rock struck Piggy a glancing blow from chin to knee. The conch exploded into 1,000 white fragments and ceased to exist. With no time for even a grunt, Piggy traveled through the air sideways from the rock, turning over as he went, and he fell 40 feet and landed on his back across the square red rock in the sea. His head opened and stuff came out and turned red. Piggy's arms and legs twitched a little like a pig's after it had been killed. Then the sea breathed again and along, and when it went sucking back again, the body of Piggy was gone. So just looking at this for a moment, Piggy's obviously been hit. It's interesting that it describes his head opened and stuff came out. That's what Piggy is about, right? The brain. That's what he's able to do. His arms and legs twitched like a pig's. So in case we had not made the connection on this island that pigs are hunted, what Piggy represents is hunted. The pigs on the island aren't going to last. People like Piggy aren't going to last. His tirade of, are you going to be savages? That's what the id is going to get rid of. And once again, like Simon, the sea takes Piggy's body. So Jack turns to Ralph. There isn't a tribe for you anymore. The conch is gone. And that's the other thing, too. What it symbolizes, order. It's gone. It's all chaos now. He hurls a spear at Ralph, and the point hits Ralph in the ribs, and Ralph turns and runs. And I want you to picture him. It says he swerves in the open space, and all these spears fly past him. He's the only one left. Sam and Eric have been apprehended. That's how this chapter ends, that Roger is going to be like the big thug that's going to beat them into submission or scare them or torture them, whatever it is. Ralph is out there on his own, the only one who wants a fire for rescue. Piggy is gone. And that is how we enter the last chapter of The Lord of the Flies.